What's going on, guys? I'm not in the right window. What is this? I'm not in the dragon window. This is what is happening. What's happening is the prologue of our Pathfinder playtest Gestalt game. Most honorable GM 360 Mac Gamer, or Ross. As you can see in, where's my mirrors are still hard. I do this every week. I can't. That way is how to get to him. That's the dude. He's GMing it. We're also joined today by, did you watch that Hail the Gorilla King? A long, long time ago. There's this little teeny tiny Sphere of Neblin kineticist known as Queblin Gammon, and his player Levi has come to join us. There are two others. We're doing a couple of prologue sessions before we get into session one. Everybody but Levi is patron, and it never fails when I do this. I'm going to do it anyway. Tiki can hear me. Thanks for your support on Patreon. Ross, thanks for your support on Patreon. Jason, when you get here, thanks for your support on Patreon. Levi, thanks for attending. I have to put something in for the people that aren't patrons at the end. There's always that one. Just, hey, you're all so cool. Yeah. Anyway, I've rambled too much. I'm not GMing today. Today I'm playing that name right there. Mac, take it away.
Thank you. Well then, welcome everyone to a little campaign of mine here. I remember a long time ago, back when Tommy was covering all the playtest material, specifically the Druid video. He mentioned in it at one point that he really wanted somebody to campaign some games or some one-shots, just something so he could play a Druid. And me being the inquisitive person I was just like, I'd do it. And so several months later, the playtest's coming out, and a heck of a lot of rescheduling due to school, work, apartment moving, crazy shenanigans. Heck, I had to come through 2 car crashes and a really crummy Walmart to get here today. But here we are, and welcome to the Greenwich Chronicles. Now, for those of you who are unaware of this, this is my little homebrew setting. It is in the world of Golarion, but it is a bit more further on in the Golarion's history. Specifically, whereas Golarion is, I want to say, in the year 4709? 8? Correct me if I'm wrong here, Tom.
47, damn it, 18. 4718. It's 47
right,
plus
the
current year.
Yeah, the last 2 digits match up. That's the nice thing. Yeah, whereas in the official canon, logical lore, if you're using Doomsday Dawn and all that sort of stuff, it's 4718. This game will be taking place in the year 4743. So roughly 23 years later? Yeah, I got that math right off the top of my head. Oh, 25! Darn it, 2 off. Okay.
Math is hard.
I'm usually pretty good at it. But, so yes, as you could probably see by the map presented on the overlay, the Greenwich Colonies is specifically the island of Greenwich is an area to the northwest of Arcadia. You guys probably, if you've played a bit of Pathfinder, you've played any Pathfinder-esque sort of adventure paths, either chronologically or just in the world of Golarion, you probably would know it as the continent to the west of the Inner Sea region that it's kind of, sort of, uninhabited, kind of being given the, it's kind of given the New World treatment for Pathfinder, like it's kind of their version of America. Roughly, very roughly, we're not there, so I don't have to be exact with that setting, but we are to the northwest of it. So lots of naval-based wars, conflicts, lots of territories out that way have been raided, and it has led to a lot of merchants became very, very unhappy with how often their vessels were being plundered and raided and attacked. So they decided to try and figure out something. They decided that perhaps if they were to try and go northward over Arcadia, they could maybe try and find some sort of sea route, maybe a river or something that could get them around it. As they knew roughly that there was kind of an opening to the north of Arcadia, it didn't connect to the crown of the world like the continent that they're on did. Couldn't reach it from the crown of the world, so that kind of gave them a hint that perhaps there's a way to sail a vessel up that way. And there was. And as such, they launched a expedition underneath a man by the name of Captain Greenwich. He's basically this world's version of Columbus. They managed to find the island of Greenwich. It's just an island to the northwest of, as mentioned, Arcadia. And for the most part, it was uninhabited. There were no human, no dwarven, no... Well, I say no elven, but you'll find out more in due time. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, nod, nod. Since I can't really physically do that through the camera, through the power of the internet.
You just gotta try harder, man. You gotta push real hard.
That doesn't
literally
work.
knock your camera over. Don't knock your camera over. That'd be bad. Don't do that.
No. Don't do it. Does not work at home. Do not try it at home. I have tried it at home and it does not work well. Oh god. But yeah. So, upon finding the island of Greenwich, Captain Martino Greenwich forged a bit of supplies, made note of some of the island, and proceeded westward to find Tianjia, and proceeded to return back to success. However, unfortunately, not too long after this success, he did die. What caused his death is unknown. Many people believe that it was raging alcoholism or something of the matter, but for the most part, that his job was done. The merchants were satisfied. They had a sea route that was, for the most part, at that moment in time, not really under the effects of any sovereign sort of naval waters or whatnot. Sure, you had to get around Arcadia, and that could have pirate dens. In fact, it did have quite a bit, but those were pirate dens in nations that didn't fully exist or didn't have the military capabilities to withstand them, or they could just buy it off. Long story short, mercenaries, lots of mercenaries, and lots of manpower and promises of free land led to Greenwich essentially being settled in roughly around the year of 4731 was when the largest city in Greenwich, Castalia, was founded. And that was roughly 12 years ago. By now, there's been quite a few colonies to pop up. Cities are starting to be built. Some places are actually building walls and proper castles now. It is a frontier for frontiersmen because it is very, very close to the northern crown. In fact, the northernmost part of it is frozen almost year-round, and while the map shows the area to the northern part of the isle as water, while it shows it as water, it's very, very common for it to freeze over just unexpectedly to the point of which you need those sort of ice-breaking ships in order to get across. That being said, it is still acceptable, and there are even people that live up there that far because some people don't like society because it is restricting and not nice. But yes, so with that, we're going to start today's little session 0, not on Greenwich, far, far away from Greenwich, in a place that is not on any map. And this is where we introduce your character, Tommy.
My character, Tommy. Alrighty. So I guess at the top of this one, I'll say, much like I was doing at Broken Universe, the character I'm playing for this campaign is a throwback to basically my best friend in the whole wide world's characters that he's played that I've either been in a party with or I've GM'd for. Much like Octarian, son of Octar at Broken Universe. Today I will be breaking out a really bad Scottish accent, and there's some dwarves coming, and I want to sound not like them. But today, I will be playing the role of Myrrdin O'Brien. Mechanically, he is my ABCs, I should say, here in that Pathfinder playtest are Human, Scholar, Druid, Sorcerer. I'm going... The idea is we're Imperial Bloodline Sorcerer, Storm Druid, and I just want to Tempest Surge everything to death, more or less. That's the idea with this character. I like the idea of playing the Caster Druid. I've seen the Wild Druid. It works real good. I want to see if this one can, stand up just as well. Myrrdin is...
the fact Druids can get access to Fireball now, I'd say yes.
Haha! Myrrdin is one of Joe's. I had the honor of GMing for Myrrdin a million years ago in the only game I ever played start to finish. And it's come full circle to... I know how his head works from giving him things, except now he's not a wizard because I needed dangerous sorcery. You understand. Optimization. But that is me. That's what we got today. I think I'm the only medium. Well, no, the dwarves are medium. I'm the only tall person in the party, so that's fun.
You're the only one that can reach the top shelves.
Mage hand.
I have plans.
Really? That's
yes.
Top shelf.
Your downfall.
Good.
See, all these traps will be designed to cut off a dwarf's head, but they'll just end up coming to like your torso or
Just
whatever. So like
bifurcate
they'll
me.
jump and they'll just saw them in half, but you'll jump and you'll just lose like your kneecaps or something, and you'll be
Ow.
fine.
Yeah, it'd be fine. So
And I
fine.
will stand tall and be fine.
You'll understand why I'm laughing so hard when we get around to introducing his character.
Oh God.
But yeah. So, Myrrdin, before you come to the island Greenwich, you exist on an isle called Briatan. Is that correct?
Close enough. I think it was this is also, all of this is from the old game, and I'm just kind of like, my island also exists in the pseudo Galerion that I GM'd for. And fun fact, if the Patreon can get to like $100 more, it's coming out in like a Briatan world guide for everybody to enjoy, both in Pathfinder First and Second Edition. Hype is real, but yes, Myrrdin is from the Isle of Briatan. He's essentially like the Keltist of Kelt. He like Myrrdin literally is Welsh for Merlin. I didn't know that till I rolled the character up, but
But yes. For the longest time, Briatan has been cut off from the rest of the world of Galerion. No outside contact, very little, if any, idea that there is a world outside of their island. And for the most part, was locked, well, ages past, was locked in just sort of eternal conflict between various different human clans, fighting for dominancy of the island. That was until the Blue Dragon, Priamir, appeared on the island and was not happy with the humans making a mess there and proceeded to torch like almost everything, killing a lot of people. But he did take pity on a small group of humans that were kind of runts. But they were kind to him. The only tribe to actually be, well, only clan nice enough to actually welcome him in and give him a meal when he kind of appeared as a human. As such, he blessed the clan with his draconic might, and the clan's chieftain, he became High King as the dragon that put him on the throne, faded from existence into little more as what many people on the island would consider a fairy tale as to the origins of the royal family. You know, many saw it almost as like a Chinese divine mandate, you know, oh, the dragon blessed us, therefore we are the true kings. Your character was raised in the old ways, the traditional ways of the land, the wind, the nature, and you found comfort almost instinctively in the storm. You found comfort when it would rain, when it was pour, and even when it was thundering and the most fearsome of storms were outside. You would simply be outside resting, from a child all the way up to adult, almost meditating, just listening to the winds and nature's fury, breathing it in. That is not to say you did not have proper book learning. You were a part of the O'Brien family that also, the O'Brien family for a long time also was kind of blessed with this almost imperialistic power in focusing, and in doing so has manifested within your character as a sorcerer bloodline. At the time of the campaign, you are 67 years old. At the time of this memory, you are roughly 58, I want to say. You've been advising the previous Don Cat for the longest period of time, and now you're getting ready to assist his son onto the throne, a young man by the name of Arthur Duncat. This fellow's been rather intrinsic, and you've been very important to his upraising and schooling, being his mentor, his teacher, and even at times what you would consider to be one of his best friends, as you helped him learn to respect the old ways while at the same time helping him to embrace the future. And this is the day, specifically, Myrrdin, that Arthur is set to take the throne. Where would you be beforehand? Like, this is not a time for Arthur to be taking lessons. This is more so during a time in which you would consider to be your free time, if you would. Like, where you can spend some private time just alone, collecting your thoughts, maybe doing some private research, something of that nature.
Okay. Depending on how long Myrrdin has, Myrrdin would probably be somewhere quiet, somewhere by himself. Because there's going to be, I imagine there's a lot of pomp and circumstance today, a lot of feasting, a lot of seeing people.
Yeah, even if you are somewhere away from the rest of the things as you're doing this, you can still hear the music and the celebrations no matter where you go. If you're on the castle grounds, you're going to hear it.
Yeah, fair. In that case, Myrrdin will be in just like the most tucked away back corner of the nearest library, just trying to bury himself in a book, getting however much, like, again, just that little bit of peace and quiet before he has to be very social around a lot of people for like a big event kind of thing.
And as you're doing this, a familiar set of footsteps becomes from behind you. Boy, what you studying there, teacher? You kind of just look over your shoulder, like almost like, oh god, who do I have to deal with? Only to see Arthur, just kind of like looking over your shoulder at the tome in front of you.
Well, if that's the future king, Myrrdin is going to stand and just, well, lad, it's nothing much. Just, some quiet reading here before everything. How are you feeling?
Well, half sick, half death, and about to lose my hearing from all the darn trumpets outside. You'd think my father would have learned when too many trumpets is enough, but no, he's got to throw in a few more just for good measure. Apparently, I'm supposed to be as deaf as he is to his advisors.
Well, just between you and me, lad, I think he's compensating for something, and I imagine Arthur's a lot bigger than Myrrdin is, even though,
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just gonna,
Yeah.
Myrrdin doesn't have, a weapon, but he does carry a shield, even here, as just kind of, a ceremonial piece strapped to his back. So it's probably awkward to, stand up, and here's this big old Celtic shield. I won't necessarily, beat him with it, but I guess just kind of, elbow him in the gut, Not like,
Aye, well, we always know you always know my size and strength came from me mum and not my dad.
That it did.
That old woman could beat me half to Sunday with a ladle, I'll tell you. Well, I just wanted to come down here and get some quiet myself. It's been ungodly loud out there.
Aye. How long do we have now before the ceremony gets underway?
Oh, let me check. He reaches into a pocket and pulls out a stopwatch, kind of just or a timepiece, and begins to look at it. I'd say about maybe an hour. Got a few bits before we have to be upstairs. It's probably advised for us to be up there, but well, I'll need to take after my old man now, don't I? Well, sit down, sit down. I didn't come down here to disturb your time. I came down here to see what you're hiding, so that way I can learn from the best about it now, couldn't I?
Come now, me boy, and we'll teach you all about that thing which your bloodline sprang from, and I'll just begin, flipping through the book to where blue dragons are found in the book.
All right, you spend a bit of time flipping through it. The pages are coarse, and you at times need to just kind of stop and not flip too fast. Otherwise, you're afraid you'll rip it, as the book is very old. It's been a long time since anyone on your isles has seen dragons, ever since the age of the Great Ones and the founding of Don Cat's family. Well, I say Don Cat because I can't pronounce the last name.
Names are hard, yeah.
But for the most part, it's just kind of quiet. You say facts, myths, legends. You can't ascertain how true or how false they are for about a few minutes, and as you go by, you get to you finally get to an end of the chapter, and you pause, and you're just kind of, there's just kind of a moment as Arthur's like, "Is that it?"
Aye, lad. That's it.
Huh. I thought the passage on what's supposed to be one of my ancestors would be a bit longer, but, well, then again, I guess there was only one blue dragon that our cons ever met on these isles. Ugh. At this point, he lets off a yawn and begins to sink back into his chair, almost kind of relaxed. I tell you what, it's finally nice and quiet around here. I can finally take a nap.
Not much of a nap now.
A few moments pass before eventually Arthur slowly opens his eyes. "Oh, teacher, is something off to you?"
Is something off to me?
You kind of pause and just look around the room. Nothing seems off until you start to listen, and as you focus on listening, you don't hear anything. No merrymaking, no music, no people, No animals, nothing. All you hear is a gust of wind, an occasional bird cry. Nothing that would fit the what is expected to be the coronation day of the next king.
Okay. From where we are right now, where is the quickest path of egress? Like out of the castle.
You're like below ground. You are in like kind of the basement area because they want to keep the books somewhere secure because books are valuable and they don't want to lose the few bits of history they have directly tying themselves back to the myths and legends they say. For the most part, you would know from experience. Some of the quickest ways would be if you don't care about what entrance you come out of, it's just a run down to the servants' quarter and up the kitchen's kind of two floored, so it's just like run into the servants' quarter, up the kitchen area, and out through there. And it's not very proper of a king, but it is the quickest way. Whereas the other way is just to walk over to like one of the main stairwells that's more fancy and whatnot, but it's put in a rather architecturally it looks fancy. From a logistical standpoint, it's annoying.
Fair. Okay, in that case, Myrrdin's gonna stand up. Just, lad, we need to go now, and begin making my way towards the servants' exit.
All right. Arthur follows suit. You hear a sound of metal against sheath as he draws the sword of his family. You would know it as a blade called Excalibur. Supposedly, a long time ago, the blade was made from several different parts of the dragon. Supposedly, the blade a long time ago was made by various different parts of Priamar. The hilt and shaft were created out of the dragon's scales, leading to a sort of almost cobalt blue hinge, and the blade itself was formed from the talons that on his left claw. That was supposedly the claw he used to slay down the last of the clan chiefs that stood up to Dawn Cat, and so doing so cemented their rule. Needless to say, the blade is very magical, like the sort of magic that you don't even need detect magic up to see. Like looking at it, the runes glow faintly, and the blade itself almost hums with energy as it's unsheathed. Very clearly, while everyone may laugh at the origins of the dragons, there is very clearly relics from the dragons to make people go, oh yeah, no, something did happen in the past. Just we may not believe all the pompous circumstances. It's like, oh yeah, this has been exaggerated, but it did happen, sort of attitude. And as you enter into the servants' quarters, it's empty, just completely and utterly empty and devoid of life. Arthur just kind of swirls around as you guys enter into the room. I get my father was talking about letting everyone sharing on the festivities, but I don't think this is right.
That's because it's not, lad. And Myrrdin will take the shield off his back. There's a pretty big, like, it's almost just like a giant metal ball slapped on the middle of his shield that Myrrdin isn't the best at throwing at people, but it's there mostly. It's that free hand where I guess I can't have the holly and mistletoe anymore, because back in the day this was just a druid, but I need that hand free for sorcerer spells, so he'll just keep his hand free and ready.
Let me take points, teacher. I'm better with swordplay than you.
Is anything out of place in the room?
Roll me a perception.
I will do so. I think I add 4. Yeah, I do. Boom. 23.
First roll of the game, 23.
Natural 19, right at the gate.
That is a critical success for the DC, I say.
I did it!
Yeah, right off the bat, it looks as though everything was left mid-task. It looks as though everybody just simultaneously stopped in the middle of whatever job they were doing and just turned around and walked outside or walked up the stairs. You do see what seems to be flour and dust, maybe some sugar, you're not certain, on these stairs leading up. So it does seem that people walked out of here, but underneath what circumstances you're unaware. And for that critical success, you do note all the knives in the kitchen are missing.
All right. Lad, I think we're under attack. We need to go now. And, like, Doncat wants to take point, but I call him Don Cott. He actually was. That was the whole point of like the character back and forth for Joe's old character was Don Cott was supposed to be King Arthur. So we did it. Haha. But
Well, he is. He's
Yeah.
Arthur Don Cott's pre,
close enough.
Last name.
Pre-immuno. Mr. P. if you will.
Pre-Amuda.
Well, he wants to take point, but
Joe.
Myrrdin's not going to let him. Myrrdin is going to move up in front, and as he does so, he will consult his spell list. I forget what sorcerer spells I picked. Did I pick the right one? I did not pick Mage Armor. Okay, fair enough. Wasn't sure if I did or not. I guess I'm just the worst. So, in that case, we'll just like raise the shield and move forward, keep my eyes out for anything that might jump out and try to cause harm to the future king.
Yeah, he follows behind you, sword drawn, kind of just like looking around you all. As you begin up the stairs and out of the kitchen area, you start to get into the serving area, the dining hall. And once again, it's the same old story. It seems as though everyone stopped mid-task what they were doing, only to like run outside for some weird reason. Once again, all sharp objects and instruments are missing. Would you roll me yet another perception?
Oh, we will. All right. Does my luck hold? 22.
Yes, it
Not
does. You do notice someone, however, still in the room. As you kind of like glance around quickly, Arthur walks past a piece of furniture where it was a wine holder, where they hold the really fancy wines to make a big deal of when you're getting served. And as he walks past, you are on the other side of the table, and you notice behind him the bottom cupboard of the door sort of shakes a bit, almost like closing it tighter.
Okay. Myrrdin will reach out to the door and concentrate. I cast Mage Hand. I want to pull the door open. Just my king gets away from the door and pull it open.
All right, he backs away, sword pointed, and as you open the door, a little girl is huddled up inside of it. She seems to be in rather fancy dress, perhaps one of the daughters of the clan chiefs, or maybe just some other advisor's daughter that you hadn't met until that point. You're not the most sociable of people. And she's just sitting in the cupboards, kind of like Clint, kind of cowering, just hiding herself. Hello?
Okay. I am gonna look at my ability scores before I do what might be metagaming. Yeah, I'm smart enough. Myrrdin will cast Detect Magic and point it in her direction to make sure she's not an illusion or an assassin behind a hat of disguise, basically.
No, you don't detect any illusion magic on her.
Okay.
You think you get the faintest hint of maybe a sorceress bloodline, but that's kind of common for the ruling classes to either have like a hint of draconic, perhaps from where they had a like second or third son of Don Cat marry into their bloodline or something along that nature, or just something else occurring.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's, in this island, having a sorcerer's origin is kind of a symbol of status almost.
Fair enough.
And she just kind of like, she's very much not under the effects of any illusion magic that you can see.
Alrighty. My lord, who is this girl?
I think this be Trudchin's daughter. Morgan, yes? He says, looking down to the girl. She nods her head and slowly climbs out of the cupboard. Yes, my lord. Well, what are you doing in here, lass? What's everyone else at? He says, kind of just like looking around. She kind of just begins to tear up. Well, we were drinking and celebrating your coronation day, my lord, and all of a sudden, the last thing I heard was a really high-pitched trumpet, like squeak. When perhaps somebody stubs their toe in the playing an instrument or something. I'm not aware, but when they high-pitched squeak went off, everyone just stopped moving. They just stood still. And all of a sudden, everyone except my papa they rose up and grabbed sharp objects and ran outside. My father pushed me in here and said, "Don't come out." He said he was going outside to see what was going on, and well, now you all found me.
Where we're at right now, are there any windows?
A bit of a distance further away from you. Yes, you're like kind of just. There are some windows looking over like a nice scenic sort of view, but you wouldn't expect anything useful the other way. There are windows out to the courtyard, but that's on like the other end of the hotel uh of the other end of the dining hall. Like you guys are in a rectangle. You came up on the east side of the rectangle. You're kind of halfway through, and on the west side is the windows. So you can see the windows, you can't see through them and really notice anything about the courtyard.
Okay, fair enough. In that case, Myrrdin is going to approach the girl and go down, like, get down on one knee to, like, level with her, right? And just, Lass, I need you to do me a favor. You see this man here? He is the High King of Britain, and
I know who he is. He's Arthur, the future lord. My papa told me about him.
I'm glad you're so smart, lass, and I'm too old to protect him. Can you watch out for him for me? He thinks he's all big and strong and mighty, and Myrrdin's gonna make like a big deal, like pushing his chest out through his like Gandalf beard.
Arthur chuckles a bit, quite bitterly behind you, just like, ha!
I'm gonna go see what's going on outside. I'll be right back. You watch out for him, okay?
And she nods her head.
And I will
kind of just like steps out.
Make the walk to the window.
Like, as you begin to walk, Arthur just like grabs you by the arm. Boy, yeah, if there's any trouble.
Looking at cantrips. I have a lot of cantrips. I'm a Gestalt caster. And one of them's not message. Okay, fair enough. So Myrrdin will just nod and then make his way over.
All right. Arthur will kind of talk to Logar and say, "Here, why don't you sit down and let's get our heads together a bit." And that's kind of like they begin just talking, like he's just talking to her like an adult would to a child in a dramatic event to get her to calm down. As you walk out to the courtyard, would you give me yet another perception roll, because that is the most used skill in Pathfinder, and everybody must have it.
And everybody does have it now. It's a good meta.
Hooray!
18. Natural 14 is the lowest roll so far.
Yep. That's a good sign.
Actually, excuse me. That was not an 18. I lied. As I'm gonna look, and I should have been doing this the whole time, but I'm not. I don't have my Baku Ebony Feather. Ebony Feather. I can't say names either today. Myrrdin will close his eyes, say a quick prayer to the ancestors, and cast guidance on himself. So I don't have it. I don't have my macros made yet, but all of my like out of combat things are. I'm gonna cast guidance, then do the thing as long as I have time. So not an 18.
I was wondering who was gonna be responsible for the guidance spam. I was wondering who was going to be.
It's me.
But yes, so you cast guidance on yourself, just kind of ask for some assistance. That makes it a 19, I take it. Seems rather low.
Yeah, guidance is just a +1. Yeah, you come from 5e, the magical land where it's roll
No. I would have thought that your wisdom be +4, and then I thought you would be trained in perception, which would give you at least another +1.
Yeah, my wisdom is 16. I have my two casting stats are wisdom and charisma, so I have a 16 there and a 16 there. So as when we hit 5th, I'll go to 18.
Oh, I thought you would have made it 18, but okay. All right, cool. I was just concerned. I want to be good GM, but yes.
Enough.
So with that, you kind of peek your head outside, and I'm gonna need you to make me a will save.
Oh, good. Do I have time to guidance myself?
No.
Oh, good. Even better.
It's like after you kind of open your eyes and like walk forward, after you make the perception roll is when it hits you, and now you need to make the save.
So I'm expert in that, so I'm adding 2 right now, plus my whiz is d20 plus 5, another 18.
That does succeed. You kind of look outside, and you almost feel something inside you scream out that this is wrong, as you just see what appears to be hundreds of people just aligned meticulously in a straight line, all of them in a similar pose, on their knees with a right arm extended, their left arm holding onto a sharp implement, be it broken glass, be it a knife, be it you even think you see some people just use their fingernails almost, as it seems as though they have all ritualistically slit their wrists. And if they're not already dead, they're in the process of dying. As it's very clear that these are not just like surface wounds, these are mortal, like tearing into the arteries in the arm wounds. It's all, from what you gather at this distance, self-inflicted, and you are comfortable in that because you see like lots of daggers in people's hands with blood all over it.
Okay. How does this window open?
It doesn't open, but it is like right next to a door out to the courtyard.
No, sweet. In that case, we'll take the civilized route. We'll open the door, and Myrrdin is going to just run out and try to get, like, I want to position myself in such a way that like as many people can be around me as possible, and just run out, not wasting any time, not telling. Well, probably like a quick. Just gonna look back at Arthur and just stay here, lad. I'll be right back. Out we go in the middle, and then
What's out there?
No time. People are dying, running, and then
Wait, what?
Yeah, now I've killed
You
him.
just hear him say as he like scoots his chair back.
When I get to as many people as I can in one bunch, I will cast the 3-action heal. Myrrdin just holds out his hand and lets the power of the green faith wash over people, and hopefully it's enough to save people.
Yeah. You do catch them. It seems like most people are either at dying 1 or 2, roughly, and you do catch them. You start to hear breathing again, proper breathing, and people seem to almost just kind of collapse as you force the wounds to cauterize quickly, even regrow some tissue in order to prevent their arms from bleeding out anymore. One of which you actually think to be the current king. He seems to be at the head of the group, and almost instinctively, he's like, once you got into a range where you could get him in, you're like, this is a good range, and did it.
Okay. Well,
yes.
If he has anything to say, I'm just gonna be the worst ever and cut him off. Just, not now, my lord. Go inside. And then I can cast that one more time, and I'll find another group and just spam the 3-action heal.
Yeah, you managed to get roughly, there were probably over 1,000 people there. You get maybe 30 people back up and moving, and push them back inside. One of which Morgan runs up to and says, "Papa, Papa!" and just like flings herself into his arms, and he just kind of nearly stumbles back and falls like right backwards on his back, but manages to stand upright as the girl impacts with him. Oh, little lass. Oh, God, what's happened out there? And they all just kind of like stumble inside. The king is helped in by Arthur, who looks outside and goes, "By the old and new gods."
I am going to... Oh, I don't even know. I guess that's... I'm gonna make an Arcana check. I'll guidance myself with my bad intelligence here. See if I can figure out what even just happened. It's that's
50.
That's with the... I don't have my DC incorrectly, so or not my DC, but my train stuff on the sheet. So yeah, you're right. It's 15. Didn't even look at the number.
Mm-hmm. It's 14, and I presumed you guidanced yourself because you would have time.
Always, yeah.
But yes, with that, you do not like the looks of this. This is very obviously some powerful mind control enchantment magic that would have a very wide reach in order to make people go outside and do something like this. Like, we're talking at least 8th level magic in order to pull off this sort of thing. So that is very quickly sending warning signs up your brain, because you can't think of anyone who could do this. And it just kind of pauses. You pause kind of concerned as you realize that these people are spread out in a very specific pattern.
Okay.
And as you kind of look around, you think back to all the books you've learned and all the things you've read, and you partially think it almost looks similar to summoning glyphs you would use to summon like nature's allies and other things of that nature, but twisted. As you do that, Arthur comes up behind you and kind of like just grabs you by the shoulder and is like, "What the bloody hell is going on here?"
I don't know, lad, but it's nothing good. Myrrdin just wide-eyed out in the direction of the glyphs, trying to put it together.
And who the hell is you? Who on the hell are you? You hear Arthur say, just pointing his sword out as you look up. A figure, cloaked in full plain plate mail, begins stretching towards you all. The plate mail seems to be gold in color with black robes and black shadows just falling upon all the different arms and limbs, covering the body fully. The figure says nothing, but simply just kind of pauses when the king addresses him and then just holds out his arms and is like, "Come now. Did I not make you enough of an offer to make your sacrifice worth it? Why are you ruining my perfectly good little sacrifice here? I put a lot of time and effort into it."
Do I have any idea who this is?
If I tell you which role you need, it's going to give it away. Almost kind of roll religion.
Oh, okay, cool. I was gonna say society. My religion is better. Actually, it isn't. Oh god, because I'm untrained, and we did this the week after the update. So,
and we are playing with the update.
Oh, tight. Okay, so 3 minus 4 plus 1 from guidancing myself, so it's just a flat d20. All right, 12.
It doesn't even take a high success in order to kind of hint at what this is. Tommy, are you aware, out of character, of the Celtic god, well, more like Celtic devil, Balor?
I am. Yes, I am. We fought a lot of those over the course of that campaign. It's very near and dear to me, and again, that's why I wanted to play it here with you guys.
Yeah, this is very clearly, if not Balor himself, one of his highest generals, as he just walks forward towards you all. Keep swinging that sword around. That will get you very, very far in this future of ours.
Well, Myrrdin is going to, it's probably a death wish, but it's part of the duty. Myrrdin will step forward and hold out his hand like a 90-degree angle from his body and say some words in the old tongue. And as he does so, a javelin made out of ice forms in his hand, and he just throws it into him. Mechanically, I'm casting Ray of Frost. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it probably is a bad because he's God guy, but
you're just gonna want to roll a d20 for this.
Deal. 6.
Yeah, no, it just like effortlessly just like cracks up against his like left elbow, and he just kind of stares down. So this is the teacher I was warned about. You're supposed to be one of the better magicians in this kingdom. Yeah, it's all you can do is throw a petty ice spear.
Unfazed, Myrrdin will... Yeah, let's just go crazy with it. Myrrdin is going to get right up into his face and just kind of the same thing, but this time a sword made of electricity, and I'm going to try to just jam it into his chest. This time it's Shocking Grasp.
All right, roll me that 1d20.
Come on, 12. Double what I did last time. That.
As you kind of go to hit the sword into him, you watch the sword impact into his armor, but you can feel the magic just dissipate on not even contacting him before he even contacts him. And he just grabs you by the arm. And without even effort trying, because his bonus is going to be higher than any reflex roll you can roll.
Okay, I could crit. I could try. I got 17. Never mind.
No.
Hubris.
He just grabs you. That's why I was saying roll a 1d20. You know, I was giving you hope.
Fair.
But he just grabs you by the arm and just tosses you over his shoulder, like into the pile of bodies below. I am not here for you. I'm not even here for you little runts, he says, just seemingly effortlessly black-handing Excalibur out of Arthur's hand and slamming it into the ground behind him. As Arthur begins trying to like bringing back his fist, just punch the fellow. There's a solid just once again grabs Arthur by like the scuff of his collar and just tosses him next to the sword. Nor you. I'm here for the ones you picked up. I'd advise you to stay out of my way if you wish to continue breathing much longer. And I don't presume you speak infernal.
I don't think I do. No, I did at one point, because at one point this was a wizard, not a sorcerer, and there's a little more int to play with. But now, for the record, my languages are Common, Sylvan, Draconic, and Druidic.
Then yes, saying words in a tongue that you know to be evil and vile. The people inside just stand back up, their eyes almost blank, going wide as they just walk back into the position that they were outside, and for all intents and purposes, begin to pick up the implements they were using to cut their wrists open once more. As if Morgan runs out after her, but Balor just turns back to her and she pauses. Well, a Balor, a General Lord of Balor, you're not even certain. You just can tell he is like dressed in the guise of this individual. He just kind of turns to the little girl and says, "Listen to your father, little one. He actually knows what's best at this moment." And as the people begin, you hear their cries of anguish as they begin cutting open their wrists. Balor just walks over to you, Myrrdin, just kind of kneels down next to you. "A word of advice, old one. This island is changing. I'd stay out of its way. And that is the day that you consider your world to fall apart." As you sit there listening to Arthur cry out in anguish as he watches his own father slowly slash open his wrist with a ceremonial dagger and bleed out amongst all these other people, in a glyph that even 7 years later, where the story picks up, you're still not certain what it meant. 7 years by this point have passed, and you are now at 64. The campaign for you begins as you're running through the woods, all too familiar to you. You can hear the marching orders behind you as demonic creatures, foot soldiers of these dark generals that you all have become known as the servants of Balor, are just hunting you like hound dogs. You, along with Arthur and Morgan, just recently tried to make a hit on another one of their prisoner convoys, hauling in innocent people from the countryside that had hidden, surviving in remote villages and other instances, away from their grasp, only to be picked up and sacrificed for whatever vile purpose they have. As you're running through the trees and leaves, you can hear them behind you, and I would like you to make a reflex cell as you kind of just turn around at the most inopportune time and catch a branch.
Oh, that's my worst one. All right, sweet. D20 plus 2. Hooray. Is it plus 2? Do I have? I have to go back and actually, by the way, I do not speak Sylvan. I had one too many languages. I'm so good at preparing for sessions. It was Common, Draconic, and Druidic. Yeah, I do have a better dex than I thought it. Okay, so this is plus 3, not plus 2. I lied. Here goes nothing. Bam! It is a 12. Nothing indeed.
Just a flat 12?
13 if I can guidance myself, if I have time.
Yeah, you probably would have preemptively guidanced yourself, knowing what crap you're getting yourself into.
Okay.
You catch your foot, but like as you feel the other foot get out, you just kind of reach out and grab onto a tree branch with the hand and just pull yourself back up, effectively keeping your movement going as you're running along. Tongues, once again, in languages you don't understand, bark out behind you as they begin to chase you rapidly. You're getting closer, closer, and closer to the cliff edge, and as you get closer, you kind of just stop there and turn around. You're breathing, you're out of breath, you're panting heavily, and you're just staring at them as they come rushing over the tree, through the forest, as though they were water churning through a riverbank. And they surround you slowly. You can hear them snickering, and eventually one in front of you says, "So, old man, you have anything to say for yourself?" As he points the sword at you, and you begin to just kind of back up. You breathe heavy, and you kind of, or you kind of just stare them all down. And as they get closer and closer, you look as though you're getting ready to fight for your life. Only at the last moment to crack his smile, as the soldiers in front of you kind of look at you quizzically, only for a concussive wave of magical energy to blast into them from one side, sending roughly half of them over the cliff's edge below. The other half turn around, only for a couple of them to be slayed in one slash by Arthur's blade. The rest of them, he just single-handedly, cleaves through one group and then blocks the blows of another and just finishes them off. Arthur and Morgan, where they've been hiding behind you, expecting this to occur, as you purposely let yourself get spotted so that way they could do this tactic, just kind of come up panting. Morgan, by this point, is roughly 17 years old. She's getting up in age and is actually looking like a full-on woman, whereas Arthur is roughly probably 25 or so. He was only like 18 when he was about to be coronated, so the two of them, while still distant apart in age, respectively, far more close to one another than they are to you in that age gap, just kind of pantingly kind of walk up to you. I told you to draw them away from us. I didn't tell you, to have them chasing after you like a bloodhound after a damn raccoon.
Worked, didn't it? Myrrdin just pushes the unkempt hair out of his eyes and gets the sweat off his brow.
Yeah, it did. Morgan, you got any more juice in you? The girl just shakes her head and is panting, breathing heavily, almost looking as though she's about to hurl any moment from now. You would know her to be... Had the situations not been so dire, you would have happily have taken her in as your own apprentice. Her understanding and mastery of magic is second only to yours of the kingdom, and she seems to be almost a prodigy in her own right of the arcane arts. Arthur just kind of sighs and says, well, that's her out. You got any more tricks up your sleeve, old man?
Myrrdin just smiles. Always.
That's what I like to hear. All right. We should be able to meet up with the rest of the convoy. We did manage to get most of them out thanks to your reckless tactics, but we did manage to get them out. Let's be off. And as he, kind of gestures away with the sword and begins sheathing and walking away, Morgan follows behind you all. And as you're walking away, you kind of hear in the woods a slow... Wow, that was impressive! An unknown voice kind of just says. I presume you turn around.
Yeah, I do.
You turn around as Oregon just kind of draws back whatever strength she has left in her, and Arthur unsheaths the blade. A fellow dressed in what can only be described as a court fool's outfit just kind of is standing in the tree line, just clapping slowly, and you can see behind him a multitude of eyes, red and golden color, just shining behind him. Well, I didn't expect you to put on quite a show. That was quite entertaining. And who the hell be you? Arthur says, just kind of pointing the sword. Just a nobody. I come here on behalf of my lord, Baldur. He's been a quite bit upset with you lords and all you've been doing in his little... He just kind of points in the direction of the convoy that you guys hit. Whatever that mess is, I don't care. I'm here to make him laugh. I'm here to make people laugh. I take it you're the court fool then, Arthur says. Aye, that'd be my title. Arthur just kind of shoots you a glance like, what do we do? Any ideas?
Myrrdin is going to... Oh, what?
You still have all your spell slots.
Oh, sweet! I did it. Okay. I guess first things first is threat assessment. Myrrdin will cast detect magic.
Oh, the guy is covered in enchantment, illusion, magic. Just like you can't even tell if you're looking at his real form, an augmented, like a projected form, or a projected form on a projected form on a projected form. He's just cloaked in so many layers of illusion magic that it kind of boggles your mind that the spells that make him up aren't just unraveling and just raw arcane blasts.
Well, what do you want then?
Well, I am here to end this little adventure of ours. Unfortunately, the king's been a bit too upset by you lot to not find my jokes funny. And I'm here to have fun. I'm here to make him have fun. I'm here to make people laugh as they're burning. I mean, might as well go to hell in a high note. Am I right? Am I right? He's just kind of like looking to Arthur and Morgan. See, these two know how to get to hell in a high note. I have some contraceptives if you need them. Control what? Morgan says. Birth control. Don't want her getting pregnant now, do you? Morgan and Arthur just kind of blush bright red, and you just get annoyed. Oh, come now. Don't you find this funny? Don't you find this just delightful? I'm here to entertain you. Yeah, Arthur says, just kind of pointing the sword at him. So how are you going to entertain us, huh? Send the beasties behind you after us? I don't know. Cavalier, horsemen, archers. Just kind of shrugs. No, I'm here to take care of you myself. After all, it's pretty evident these imbeciles, he says, kind of just like shouting behind him at the masses behind him, are incapable of taking care of their own damn problems. And with that, he just kind of takes off the gloves he's wearing. So, any last words?
Myrrdin will guidance Arthur. Say a quick blessing. In the name of the green, in the name of the storm, in the name of the house of Priamer, we fight. And Myrrdin will turn, raise his shield, and get ready.
All right. As you rush forward, you hear Arthur behind you, kind of just like unsheath his sword, kind of like ready for you to create an opening for him. And Morgan begins chanting. And as you run up to the fellow, what attack do you do? What do you do, like, to attack him?
What do we do? Myrrdin will, as he runs up, Myrrdin is going to just, rather than conjure some kind of weapon, Myrrdin just begins chanting in Druidic, and like a little mini thunderstorm just kicks up over his head. The wind begins coalescing into his hands, and I'm going to spend a point from my spell pool, and I'm going to try to Tempest Surge him. Just take this like coalesced thunderstorm and throw it at his face.
Of course.
I don't remember how that works. Tempest Surge. I think I target attack with it. I'm pretty sure.
Is it an attack or is it a save?
I'm looking, hang on. I made the foolish decision to put it in Control F in the book. So I'm just like, everything in the druid, everything getting there. Hang on, spell descriptions. I should write better notes on my character sheets. I never do. Tempest Surge is a reflex save. And my class DC is... Oh, good. Good for him.
I'm sorry, they do have levels.
No, you're fine.
But their bonuses alone will succeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as you kind of hit into him with this storm, he just kind of takes it all in, almost absorbing it. And as you just come up beside him, he just raises a palm up and says, rather boring. And I'm going to need you to make me a fortitude save.
Oh, good. Now I've made one of each. Okay, so that's I think I just added 3 on that, don't I? Yeah, I do. 1 + 1 + 1, because I am expert as a druid. Here goes nothing. Boom. 19.
You are pushed very hard by some just raw burst of force, and it sends you flying over the edge of the cliff. You hear Morgan and Arthur both call out your name, and you just impact the water with enough like force to nearly knock you out. With that 19, you are still conscious, albeit at a very serious like negative from just sheer blunt like migraines, like head trauma. And as you kind of plop up over the water, you kind of just like I'd like you to roll me a survival.
Survival. Alrighty. I'm pretty good at that. Actually, I could be. Did I train it? I trained it, right? Okay. Yeah, then I actually am good at it. That was almost spooky. Plus... total of 4. Boom. 17. All of my rolls have been pretty decent today.
Yeah.
For what they're worth.
You quickly see a piece of wood floating in the water, and as you grab onto it, you feel the currents of the river of the sea begin to take hold of you. And as you just try and focus on Arthur and Morgan's voice as you see this dark horde descend upon them, you slowly fade and black out. The camera shifts away from you, back to the cliff, where the jester, the fellow that you just got thrown off by, is just staring over the cliff edge at you. So, you think that's enough force to send him out? Says a all too familiar voice as the jester turns around to Arthur, walking up behind him. Perhaps it might be able to get him far enough. I'm not certain. It might have to deal with the current. Oi, Morgan, you able to perhaps push him a little bit further away? I'm not that best at range. The woman just kind of walks up beside the two of them. Well, either way, he's definitely far enough out. Question is he far enough out to get past it? Probably. He doesn't know the full nature of this place, so he ought to be good enough. Arthur just kind of grunts, rubbing his cheek. Either way, he'll be back. And when he comes back, all will be taken care of. The jester says, turning around. Now come on! I wasn't joking about the contraceptive stuff. For fuck's sake, if you keep this up, you're gonna end up with a later of your own. And the two of them just kind of groan and turn around and follow after him back up to the castle. And with that,
is that where we're cutting it? That's where we're cutting it for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, if you haven't, be sure to like and subscribe. Mac, thanks so much for coming out and doing this. You kind of remind me of me at a younger age. I'm not gonna lie, like being all like super nervous GMing in front of people. I remember like tripping over my own lore the first time I ever did anything on Twitch at all forever, and I will say it's a brave thing to get up in front of people on the internet and GM, and it's like not a lot of people can do it, and a lot of people will do it and they'll trip over words and they'll trip over funny fantasy names and they'll trip over everything in between, and like the confidence goes and then they're done, right? But you pulled through just swimmingly, fantastically, wonderfully, and I guess next time we're kicking over. Oh, there's Tiki again. Everybody's hanging out.
It was a good.
Go ahead, man.
It was a good story. It almost turned me off my brew. Almost. Never would though.
How dare you? But again, guys, of course, be sure to like and subscribe. Next week we'll have the next part of the prologue for, I think actually it's our little goblin barded, but we'll talk about that more later. Say bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
You do live.
I know I'm going to insult so many Celts. I'm so sorry.
So are all of us, dude. We've got 2 dwarves, and we've got me, and whatever Levi's doing for a gobbo voice, which is just going to insult everybody, because that's the nature of the goblins. Good.
Okay, Levi, take an extra hero point, like